it's Shell from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be making this card for the HoneyBee Stamps Buzzworthy Challenge number 88, and it's inspired off of this card by Carol. So here's the inspiration card again on my iPad, and I was trying to figure out what to do because I don't have a lot of floral images. So I was inspired by the color palette that Carol used rather than the images. So to start off, we are going to work on the background, and we are going to be using the Buffalo Plaid Builder Stencils, which is a set of 2, and this is the base layer that you see here. I'm taking some Distress Oxide in Iced Spruce to ink up the background. Now, a couple of things that I would do if I did this over again. Number 1 would definitely be use pixie spray, because as you see here, even with the magnets holding it down, the stencil does shift a little bit. Some of the color gets a little bit underneath the stencil. I can hide it. It was no big deal. But, you know, to make it a little bit easier on myself, that would be the first thing that I would do. And the second thing that I would do would be, instead of trying to go against the stencil and go in circles, I would do what I'm doing right here. I don't know why it took me so long to realize this, but go in a singular motion, kind of the stripe down motion like I'm doing here, because it's not going against the stencil and there's less chance that you will get ink where you don't want it to be, but definitely using pixie spray. And for the second layer, I will use pixie spray. I get a little bit smarter when it comes to that. So you can see the stencil was moving. I was having a little bit of trouble here. Normally I would give up, but I did not, and I'm really glad that I persevered because I love the way this came out. This is not a traditional color palette for me. It's definitely not something that I would have thought to put together, but I love it so much. And the reason that I chose Iced Spruce is because the background of Carol's card is, I believe it's a, it's either a gingham or a plaid, and it was a grayish green, or at least that's the way it looked on my screen, and I thought Iced Spruce would be the perfect color for that. So once this is done, I'm going to clean off the mat and clean off the stencil, put some pixie spray on the back of the second stencil, let it dry for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to use some Peacock Feather Distress Oxide to ink up the second stencil. And the reason that I chose Peacock Feathers is because in her inspiration picture, the picture is colored in a teal color. So I decided that I was going to use Peacock Feathers, and you'll see here there's certain parts of the squares that I went heavy-handed with, and then there's some that I'm going to call what is light-handed for me in. I wanted a little bit of range of color because that's how her picture looks in the original card. So I wanted to kind of keep true to that. So once that's done, I will clean everything off again, and we will get started on the focal image for this card. So since the sentiment was about grateful for friendship on Carol's card, I decided to pick out the HoneyBee Stamps Gal Pals stamp set, which is a large stamp set and has these 2 girls in it. And I'm going to ink up the image with some MFT Extreme Black ink onto some Canson XL Watercolor cardstock, and we are going to be doing some watercoloring with Distress Oxide. So one of the floral images is a pinky red, and I went through my Distress Oxides and picked out 2 colors of red that I thought would look nice with this. And they are Candied Apple, which is the one that's on the right-hand side, and Abandoned Coral, which is the one that's on the left. The more pinky one is the Abandoned Coral. So I thought that I would leave in some of the watercoloring for you guys so that I could talk to you, because it's been a while since I've done a craft and chat. It's also been a while since I've done a sketch Sunday. If you guys have been around since my original channel, you will know that I did a lot of sketch Sundays. Haven't done anything really recently. I think I did some on this channel, but it kind of fell off. I don't think I'm going to do it every Sunday, but I really do like creating and, you know, getting inspiration from either a sketch or a color challenge or something like that. It is, you know, it kind of pushes me out of my comfort zone. Like I said with this, I wouldn't have chosen this color palette, but I am so happy with the way this card turned out. So I think doing more of that will just help me be a little bit more creative, and it will also help me get out of a rut. So if you have been around for a while, or if you were on the other channel where the Sketch Sundays were, let me know. Do you guys miss it? Do you guys want to see it? It's something that I think will, you know, again, help me get out of a little bit of a creative rut that we can all get into sometimes. And it definitely won't be every Sunday. At work, if you guys had, you know, I think I posted something about the changes at work. There was more the other day. I found out that pretty much what I've been doing since day one at the company, the products that I sell is changing, losing the stuff that's in my comfort zone, and I am now going to be selling products that I've never sold before, dealing with brand new buyers when I just started about a month and a half ago. So getting to know these new buyers and now losing them to pick up other buyers, it's just a little bit of a frustration right now that everything is going to be new again. Just when I felt like I was getting the hang of it, everything is changing. So I am going to be working a lot more, so I don't think that it will be every Sunday, but at least maybe once a month I would do some type of Sketch Sunday or color challenge. So let me know what your thoughts are below in the comment section. I love hearing from you guys, and especially if you've been around for a while and you were, you know, present when Sketch Sundays were a kind of a regular thing. Let me know your thoughts. So I just, you know, I think it's always good to get out of a rut. It's one of the reasons that I like doing the hops so much, is because you have a theme and a technique for the one from Handmade Happiness, and then Team Tiny always has a theme to create within. So it kind of gives me a focus when I sit down, because sometimes when I sit down and just need to create something, and I don't know if you guys are the same, it's like, what am I supposed to do? I have this blank canvas, and sometimes it's just a little bit overwhelming. So if I have more of an idea of the direction that I'm going in, it might be a little bit more helpful. So back to the card, these colors that I'm doing right now, I am doing Dusty Concord Distress Oxide watercoloring, and I will come in a minute with Villainous Potion Distress Oxide to color in the rest of the stripes on her shirt and to do a little bit of shading on it. I did leave a lot of this watercoloring in just so that you could see, and so that I could talk to you guys. But it was a very, very long process. This is sped up 2 times. And I also did cut a lot of it out. You know, when I do this kind of stuff, I put a TV show on and just kind of go, and it's stuff that I've seen before. So I put on a couple episodes of Impractical Jokers and, you know, just kind of let it play in the background and did my watercoloring. I do love watercoloring. This is probably my second favorite way to watercolor. I don't do any traditional watercoloring. I will use the Inktense watercolor pencils or Distress Oxides and Distress inks to watercolor. So I've cut out a lot of this, and I'm just showing you a little bit of the coloring in of the hair. I did add a little bit too much of a darker yellow. I believe the yellows that I used were Scattered Straw and I'm trying to think, Squeeze Lemonade or Mustard Seed. It was 2 of those ones. I think that one, I think it's actually Mustard Seed and what the heck is that one called? Oh, Fossilized Amber. I think that was the other one. I think Fossilized Amber is the one that's at the top, and then the other one is Mustard Seed. So, and then I also used Walnut Stain and Gathered Twigs for the hair on the girl on the right side. And then for the skin, I used Antique Linen and Tea Dye Distress ink because I don't have tea dye in Distress Oxide. That's the only reason that I use that, that I used an ink instead of an oxide. There was no other reason for that. So I picked out 2 sentiments, and this first one says, "Today and every day, I am grateful for you." And this is because the sentiment for Carol's card was grateful for your friendship or something along those lines. And I found that was from the Grateful Each Day stamp set. And then this friend is from the Friend stamp set, very original. And I inked both of those sentiments up in VersaFine Onyx black ink because it gives a really, really good image. Now, this one didn't stamp perfectly, and there was a couple of spots that I actually went back in and filled in with my micron pen. You can see, I don't know, you can't really see it here. The E, you can probably see it the best, but I did fill it in afterwards. And then at the end of U, there is a period, and I actually just made it into a comma, which is one of the reasons I didn't heat emboss it. I was going to, but with heat embossing, I really wouldn't have been able to make that period into a comma. So now I'm using some HoneyBee Bee Creative Glue on the back of the girls that I fussy cut out. I also ran a black marker over the images, over the edges of the image, so that I could, you know, if I messed up anywhere in the fussy cutting, you wouldn't be able to tell. And like I said, I love the way this came out. I just thought that it, you know, the color combination was just so great. It's not a typical me card, and I think that's kind of why I liked it. And so for the jean skirt on the girl on the left, I used Faded Jeans Distress Oxide, and for the skirt on the girl on the right, I used some black soot, and you can see that there's a little bit of shading there. I actually got a decent shade on the with the black soot. So I'm just using the magnet to hold this stuff down into place while the glue dries, and I get ready for the card base. So I cut a piece of cardstock down to 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches, and I'm going to glue the front of it on. And that is the card for the day. I didn't do the inside, but I hope that it does it justice. I hope it does Carol's card justice. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.